All right, let's dive right into this. We're looking at a mystery today that honestly sounds like it was ripped straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster. Over 50 years ago, a guy managed to pull off the literal impossible. He hijacked a commercial airplane, extorted a massive chunk of cash, and then just vanished into thin air. Let's break down the facts, the timelines, and the incredibly weird evidence to piece together the ultimate unsolved mystery of the skies.
So, I want to drop you right onto the rain-soaked tarmac of Portland International Airport. The date is November 24th, 1971. It's a cold, miserable, rainy evening, the exact kind of dark, stormy night that perfectly sets the stage for a crazy story. A man walks up to the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He calmly gives his name as Dan Cooper, and he buys a one-way ticket to Seattle. Nobody in that terminal, not the agents, not the passengers, had any clue that this totally ordinary-looking guy was about to become the biggest enigma in American history.
And the way this all kicks off is just chillingly ordinary. In the late afternoon, he casually grabs his ticket. Shortly after, he boards the plane. He's rocking a sharp business suit and carrying a plain, dark briefcase. No sweating, no looking over his shoulder, absolutely nothing erratic about his behavior. He blends right in with all the tired business commuters. By evening, Flight 305 takes off into the stormy sky. I want you to really picture the contrast here. His incredibly calm, methodical vibe while boarding is just completely at odds with the terrifying crime he's about to commit up in the clouds.
Okay, let's dive into the stakes of this whole thing. $200,000. Back in 1971, that was a staggering, astronomical amount of money to demand for a ransom. I mean, we're not talking about a petty robbery here. This was a high-stakes, meticulously planned extortion that literally put the lives of everyone on board Flight 305 on the line. He's about to hold a commercial airliner hostage for this exact payout.
So, how does a guy in a suit actually initiate a mid-air hijacking? Well, once the flight was cruising, Cooper orders a drink, lights a cigarette, which, was totally allowed on planes back then, and casually hands a folded note to a flight attendant. At first, she just slips it into her pocket, probably thinking it was just another lonely businessman giving her his number. But then, Cooper leans in and delivers this chilling line. "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Just imagine the sheer, heart-dropping terror of that moment. You think you're having a totally mundane chat, and suddenly, boom, you are the primary negotiator for a skyjacking.
To prove he wasn't bluffing, Cooper pops open the briefcase. The flight attendant looks inside and sees this terrifying tangle of wires and red sticks, a clear visual confirmation that, he actually has an explosive device. With the threat firmly established, he lays out his exact demands to the trapped crew. He wants his $200,000 in cash, and he wants 4 parachutes. And actually, asking for 4 parachutes was brilliant. It heavily implied he might take hostages with him when he jumped, which basically forced the authorities to hand over fully functioning, top-tier equipment. He wasn't leaving anything to chance. Fast forward a bit, and the plane is forced to land in Seattle, kicking off this incredibly tense negotiation. It's pitch dark outside, it's pouring rain, and on the ground, the FBI and local police are just scrambling. They have to scrape together a massive pile of cash and source 4 military-grade parachutes as fast as humanly possible. Meanwhile, the aircraft is just sitting there on the dark tarmac with the engines running, while a high-stakes standoff unfolds between the calm, suited guy inside the cabin and the absolutely frantic authorities outside. Once the FBI manages to deliver the money and the parachutes to the aircraft, Cooper actually keeps his word. He allows all the civilian passengers to disembark. They step off the plane, released safely to the ground, entirely unharmed. But, you guessed it, the nightmare was far from over for the flight crew. He keeps the pilot, the co-pilot, the flight engineer, and a flight attendant on board as his hostages. The authorities outside could only watch helplessly as the cabin doors closed right back up. And this right here brilliantly illustrates just how calculated this heist really was. Cooper wasn't just winging it as he went along. He gave the pilot highly specific flight instructions. Step 1, set a course toward Mexico. Step 2, keep the altitude under 10,000 feet. Step 3, maintain a very slow speed. Now, why does this matter? Well, staying under 10,000 feet meant the cabin didn't need to be pressurized. And that is an absolute necessity if you plan on opening an airplane door mid-flight without getting instantly sucked out. The guy knew exactly how this aircraft operated. So the plane takes off again, heading south, right back into the stormy night. The clock strikes 8 p.m. The conditions outside are absolutely brutal. I mean, it is freezing cold, and the plane is flying directly through a violent rainstorm. Inside the claustrophobic cabin, the crew is locked safely in the cockpit, leaving Cooper entirely alone in the back of the aircraft.
He's gearing up to do something that had never been successfully done before under these kinds of insane conditions.
To understand how he even escaped, we've got to look at the unique design of this specific aircraft. It featured what's called an air stair, basically a rear door and staircase that lowers directly from the belly of the plane's tail. And critically, it could be opened mid-flight. So Cooper straps this heavy bag of ransom cash tightly to his body, throws on his parachute, forces open that aft air stair, and just steps off into the void, plunging into a freezing, pitch-black rainstorm.
Sometime later, the plane safely lands with the crew, but the cabin is completely empty. The hijacker is just gone. And this sparks an immediate shift. We go from a confined, tense hostage situation to a vast, open-ended manhunt. The FBI launches what would become the largest, most exhaustive search operation in United States history. They are scouring forests, dredging rivers, hiking up mountains. They're desperately looking for a man, a parachute, or a giant pile of money, trying to uncover the truth of what happened in the dark that night.
But here is the crazy part. Despite interrogating literally thousands of suspects and dedicating countless hours to the investigation, the physical evidence was hauntingly sparse. I mean, all that was left behind on the plane was a simple clip-on tie and a few scattered fingerprints. That's it. Meanwhile, the man himself, the briefcase with the bomb, and the entire $200,000 in ransom money had completely vanished into the wilderness. It's just this incredible juxtaposition, the biggest manhunt in history yielding almost zero physical evidence.
For almost a decade, the case went completely cold. Nothing was found. But then, well now, what's really interesting about this piece of the puzzle is what happened in 1980. A young boy digging along the banks of a river in the Pacific Northwest stumbled upon bundles of decaying cash. It totaled exactly $5,800. The FBI checked it, and the serial numbers matched perfectly. It was a fraction of Cooper's ransom money. But honestly, this discovery only deepened the mystery. Where was the rest of the cash? And more importantly, where was the man who jumped with it?
Decades passed without any real answers. The hijacking occurred in 1971. A fraction of the money surfaced in 1980. But then, nothing. Despite countless books, documentary films, and wild internet sleuths pointing the finger at various suspects, no definitive proof ever emerged. Finally, in 2016, 45 long years after the man known as Dan Cooper leaped from that plane, the FBI officially closed the book on the investigation. They just stopped actively looking.
Which brings us to the ultimate question, the one that keeps this legend alive and kicking on the internet today. Did he survive? Did a guy in a business suit successfully parachute into a freezing, stormy mountain range in the dead of night and just walk away a rich man? Or did the wilderness swallow him whole the very second he hit the ground? The FBI might have closed their files, but the mystery of Flight 305 remains wide open. So what do you think happened in the dark that night? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the impossible.